Hi, good people. Welcome to my channel. If you like the content, please subscribe, like, and hit the post notification bell if you like the content. I'll be getting into all kind of crazy topics. Today, I'm going to lead off with I kind of talked about in previous videos. I talked about why did Russia invade Ukraine, but I never really talked about what kind of led to the invasion of the whole of Ukraine, right? So Ukraine used to once be a part of Russia. It shares a border. A majority of Ukraine's border is with Russia, right? When the Soviet Union collapsed in 91, Ukraine became a sovereign nation. It became an independent nation. So Ukraine has this beautiful peninsula called Crimea. Crimea is also a part of Ukraine, but Crimea is like, let's say, it's an island. It's not even an island, but it's some people would take it as a little island, but it's a peninsula around the bottom of Ukraine. Now, no landmass attaches Crimea to Russia. So, Russia, when they annexed, they decided in 2014 to kind of Putin wanted to test the waters and see how the world would react to if he actually attacked Ukraine. So he started with Crimea. But Crimea is very special as far as real estate, geographical area, the resources the peninsula has to offer. So Putin see that as a money-making opportunity, and his abilities to trade gain a better footing with trade and things like building a military and things like that around the Crimean Peninsula in the Black Sea. Now, Crimea has a special port. For it's when Russia has rivers and streams and things like that, right? But most of that water flows north to the Arctic. And once it gets there, it freezes. Most of Russia is pretty cold, and most of Russia rivers and streams and things, it leads to the Arctic, and most of it freezes over. And everything to the east is Japan and all these other types of blockades, so they don't have access to the open water. I believe they share a small little port to the north of Russia near the Arctic, but it's the only little patch of warm water, and I believe they share it with Finland. So they don't have full reins on that. They share it with another country. So if they take Crimea and build a bridge across from Russia to Crimea, then that'll allow them access to the Black Sea, which is a patch of warm water where Russia could then build their Black Sea fleet and build their navy and become navy strong to take hold of some type of market share in the on the water, because Russia isn't able to build that because they don't have year-round access to warm water. Most of their waters freeze over. So they rely on a lot of other countries to allow them to trade through their country. So if they have Crimea, that'll at least soften that blow, and it'll give them access to the Black Sea. Like I said, that small patch of warm water where they could get their fleets out to the open ocean from there. So Crimea provides that. And in 2014, people think that this war just popped off, February 2022, right after the Beijing Winter Olympics. Putin was up there waving, making it seem like he was so peaceful at the Olympic organization in Beijing. And yeah, and then soon as the Olympics ended, a couple days later, he war with Ukraine. And it's been that way since February. But Ukraine itself has so many resources. Ukraine provides wheat, cooking oil, sunflower seed oil, all types of steel and pipes and gas. They have gas reserves too. They provide agriculture across the world. So not only do they want Ukraine as a whole, but they want that water access through Crimea. So they said, we're going to test the waters in 2014. We're going to see how far NATO going to jump. Now, NATO is a special little organization. NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and it consists of 30 countries that have formed an alliance just to block Governments like the former Soviet Union, which collapsed in 91, which is now the Russian Federation, right? All of Russia, is meant to stop people like Putin. But these 30 countries in NATO consist of the United States, United Kingdom, Italy, let's see, a couple of Russian former territories that were lost after World War II as well. They've joined NATO for NATO protections because NATO has this little tricky rule called Article 5 that says if Russia was to attack any one of these 30 countries within this alliance, that they'll launch Article 5 and all 30 countries will be at Russia's back door defending whoever was attacked within this alliance. So, Ukraine put in an application to join this organization. Putin said, over my dead body. Putin said, no, now or never. I need to take Ukraine now or never. They have an application in. I got away with it in 2014. I took Crimea. NATO did nothing. All 30 of these countries, nobody made a move. NATO just sat back and pretty much watched it. So Putin said, okay, they didn't do nothing in 2014. Here it is 2020. Let me test the waters again. Now, see, at the time, the world was pissed off at China. Everybody was putting a boot on China's neck because of the human atrocities and things going on over in that country. And they were protesting the Beijing Winter Olympics for 2022. Everybody was hating China at the moment. Putin said, Xi Jinping, China's dictator, China's leader, I'm going to one-up you. I'm going to invade Ukraine. I'm going to take the pressure off of you. China probably was in the background like wiping sweat like thank you, because you had companies pulling out of China, protesting China, Hong Kong, all that, the Uyghur Muslims, everything. They were protesting the whole Beijing Winter Olympics. No government official, no leader showed up other than Putin. That's how I was able to see his big head butt standing there waving to the world like he all for peace. No, you about to set all of these countries into a economic downturn off of the move you finna pull after you leave this here celebration. You in the background planning to take down the world so that you could gain power. But Putin, like I said, he's in that same mentality as the Chinese leader Xi. They're like now or never. They like, we got to do this now. So he annexed Crimea. He said, I take that back. He started building bridges, and that bridge from Russia to Crimea was allowing him to get all of his military equipment and actually use Crimea as a military base. Use Crimea for his ports, to build his Black Fleet, his military base, because in order to really be a superpower and control the world, you need a strong navy. That's why America has so much dominance in the world. A strong navy, right? So they built bridges. They basically took Crimea. Ukraine is in a process of fighting to get that back, taking back Crimea as their territory. The world recognizes Crimea as Ukraine territory, not Russia. Russia has taken that. Like I said, Russia has set up shop. Russia has a military base there. Russia has a trading post there. They have access to the Black Sea from there. That's what he wanted it for. And it's a 5-mile stretch that will get him into Ukraine. He still wants the whole of Ukraine. So Ukraine trying to take all of that back. But Putin's like, we want everything back, not just Crimea. So he went back in 2022, and that's what the world is seeing now. But Russia been wanting to expand their borders since they lost it after the collapse of the Soviet Union. They like, we got to get that back. Ukraine has natural gas. They have oil. They have some of the same resources that Russia has. Well, that bridge that Russia built from Crimea to from Russia to Crimea and vice versa, that very valuable bridge that Putin treasures oh so much. Well, in 2022, that bridge was blown up. Yeah, the Ukrainians said, no, no, no. You spent years building this. You put multi-billions of dollars in this. This is your pride and your treasure to connect the Russian mainland to Crimea. No, we getting rid of that. So, as of now, it's damaged. Just like the Nord Stream pipeline 1 is damaged, so too is that bridge. But that's what Putin was using to get all of that heavy war equipment, those tankers and all of that heavy machinery. That's how he was able to get it over the water into Ukraine as opposed to like hitting the border. They already knew that the Ukrainian military will be protecting the border that they share. So they like, we gonna get in through Crimea. We own Crimea at the moment. So somebody destroyed it. But that's Russia's one access to trading with the whole world. And Zelensky, Ukrainian president, said, yo, I got you one better. I'm going to blow your prized possession up, and you won't be able to get yourself or your equipment back over here. Now, Putin, like I said, he in a now or never. He feel like it's war, I must win. Because if Putin loses Crimea back to Ukraine, the Russian citizens, they're going to revolt against him because they've been spreading this propaganda and state media and all this controlling the minds of the Russian people, telling them that they're going to get Crimea back and making all these, grand promises to the Russian people. So the Russian people, they expect Crimea to come back within Russian, under Moscow's rule. But it's not going that easy. But Putin made all of these elaborate promises, and he has to make good on that promise. He can't turn around now. He has to save face. He got to keep marching forward. But if he loses Crimea back to Ukraine, Putin is done. He's done. I mean, his reputation will be ruined back at home. They probably try to form a coup against him and get him out of office, and then his whole administration fall down. I mean, that's usually how it goes when those type of leaders. That's how most of the Soviet leaders went down. That was their history. Putin said, "Screw history. I'm different." No, you're not any different. You're not any different. You're just like the rest of them. But that would mean the end of his regime, and he knows that. So he's going to march forward, rain, sleet, or snow. He cannot back down, even with his own people exiting the country because they don't want to fight the war. He's losing men left and right, losing them to other countries, young men that he see as valuable. They're getting out of there. He announced that mobilization, that they'll get them papers, and in 3 days they need to report to this facility so they could leave off for war, get all of their affairs in order, handle all your finances in 3 days, and report to this address. Them young men said, I'm not waiting on a letter. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to the nearest country border and leaving. I'm getting a plane ticket up out of here, bus ride. I'm taking it on foot. I'm out of here. And that's what Putin is up against, but he cannot stop it. As embarrassing as it looks to the world, he has to save face, and he has to forge on. He thought because he got away in 2014 with taking Crimea, he thought that NATO and the rest of the world wouldn't pay attention again this time. China watching to see if they could take Taiwan. They taking notes. But Putin, he didn't expect. Now, NATO hasn't put any boots on the ground, but they surely are supplying the the Ukrainian government with weapons to fight back the Russian army. And so they've been training them for some time now, since 2014, because they knew Putin would be back. They knew he would try to test it. So America stayed and trained Ukrainian soldiers and the government on how to back down Russia. And so far it's working because it looked like Putin losing the war. And that's the end of his regime. He can't turn face. It's the end of him. And I'm going to be here to sit and watch the Russian citizens revolt against him and tear down his administration. And it'll be 1991, the fall of the Soviet Union all over again. And I'll be here to watch it. Well, good luck to the Russian people. I'm out. Bye.